Hello everyone, it's been a while since there was any update here, and no information about Formula Circus, even though I've been providing regular updates on Twitter. I've been working full-time on the game for a year now, and I have to say most of this year, along with the beginning of last year, was a learning process. Since I'm still new to the game development sector, I had to teach myself everything about UE5 and blueprint coding. Today, we're going to dive into how far the game has really come. In the last update here, you only saw how renderings look and how I modeled a bit. I've definitely moved beyond that point. If you're wondering about the sometimes poor performance, it's because UE5 itself is always loading the base level and background information, which will be removed when the game is packaged. Since I'm running everything directly in the engine in this video, the performance and look is noticeably worse than it would be in the final game, and there's still a lot of optimization to be done. I talked about how the damage model would work, and that's something I've implemented now, and it works really well. In the background, you can see an older video from the project, where I demonstrated this a bit in-game. I don't have videos of the current vehicle damage, because I've disconnected it for now to focus more on performance, and so the car isn't damaged on every contact when I test the handling. The implementation is a bit different, though. Originally, I wanted the objects that are hit too hard to be destroyed, and then leave particles on the track that slowly depawn. This drained too much performance, so the particles are now out. The objects that are hit too hard now simply disappear. However, objects can still fall off and stay on the track, damaging tires and other vehicles, and being collected by marshals. So, the damage model is well implemented. It just needs some fine-tuning. Especially with hard hits. The engine sometimes has trouble keeping up, so a new system might need to be implemented for very high-speed crashes. The tires will also be attached to ropes, which can break if they're hit too hard. Now, let's talk about the vehicle physics. To be honest, I regret the most choosing Unreal Engine 5 for this. A lot of players praise this engine, but last year at Gamescom, I connected with other Unreal Engine 5 racing and vehicle game developers, and one thing is clear. Unreal Engine 5 doesn't have a good vehicle physics system out of the box. The engine wasn't made for racing games. So how is it still possible? I purchased the Artoon physics engine from Callisto for the game, and it comes with some benefits right out of the box. While a lot still needs to be done, the physics are much better and are designed for Simcade gameplay. Even though it has its own issues, with some blueprint magic, those can be fixed. Plus, the Artoon engine is constantly updated, so naturally, the vehicle physics get better over time. By the way, if you're wondering how other racing game developers are handling UE5, it's because they either completely write their own physics model for the engine, like ACC did, or they buy physics code from another game and simply enjoy the nice graphics, like the Rensport team did. Another issue with Unreal Engine 5 is that it crashes quite often. It's very buggy for developers and occasionally has issues with simple tasks, while Unity just works better in this case. However, since porting the game to another engine after all the work we've done learning UE5 would have been much more work, I've decided to stick with Unreal Engine, even though it punishes me with crashes several times a day. But let's get back to the progress of the game. The biggest part of the development so far has been in the car. I've since created a newer, more performance-friendly 3D model of the car, and all the possible animations have already been created. The suspension moves correctly with the tires, both front and rear. The front wing bends a bit more depending on the speed, and when braking, it straightens out. Their own spinning texture, and the steering wheel has RPM lights and moves correctly. The neutral gear has also been programmed by me, since it wasn't included in the base physics or Artoon. The implementation works well. Additionally, there's now a smooth and realistic RPM transition from Gear N to Gear 1. The fuel system also works fully. Through a value, the car always knows how much fuel is left in the tank. This can also run out, and the weight of the current fuel level is added to the car. I've also programmed different engine modes, including low, mid, high, and a pit limiter mode. All of these work and affect both performance and fuel consumption. Another thing I had to code from scratch is a lockup system. As Artoon doesn't have a built-in way to produce a lockup, this system is one of the best things I've implemented. Every lockup is noticeable and causes the car to lose grip when the tire locks. Don't mind the poor quality of the lockup smoke, as I haven't created proper textures for it yet, and focused only on functionality. Another system I coded is the brake balance system. You can adjust the brake balance, as in other games, between 40% and 60% for the front and rear wheels. This also affects the brake force on each tire and how quickly you can understeer. Systems I've already coded but are not 100% finished because they still need some fine-tuning and cleaner integration with other systems, include tire wear and tire temperature. To save performance, I decided to simulate only a general tire temperature instead of individual inner and outer temperatures. As I mentioned, Unreal isn't designed for racing games and quickly hits its limits with too many tick queries. Since this is also a simcade racer like the F1 games and not a full simulation, I think this approach is fine. After all, the main focus of the game is on an immersive career. Still, I want the general handling model to feel good, so a lot of time is spent on that. Additionally, I've added a reverse gear, which works similarly to a real Formula car. While in other games, you just switch from neutral to reverse. In Formula Circus, you have to go into the MF menu to activate reverse gear. The car then takes 1 to 2 seconds to switch into reverse, and then you can drive backward. You can also reverse out of it in the same way. If you use reverse gear while not in neutral and driving forward, you will instantly damage your transmission. So be careful. Another thing on the car's to-do list is tire blowouts, which I plan to trigger based on a probability when the tire reaches a certain temperature or wear level, or if you hit certain objects. In the past few weeks, I've had friends test the handling. They were first placed in AMS2 and F1 2020, and then in my game, and generally, people who like simulations were very satisfied with the handling of Formula Circus. The lockup system was mentioned positively over and over again, as they said it felt better than in all the F1 games. Another big thing that has taken up a lot of time is preparing everything for the track editor and creating larger PDFs with concrete concepts and game mechanics so that other developers can work on the game when investors get involved. The preparation for the track editor includes creating all the necessary 3D models. I know that the asset store in Unreal offers a lot, but the problem is that some things require significantly fewer polygons than in other games, because in racing games, you still have to be able to see and load things from a distance. That's why I had to create many 3D models and textures myself, and set up the LOD levels myself. Even with many downloaded assets, I had to go in and fine-tune the LOD levels. Here you can see some 3D models from the game. Relevant things like track barriers, grandstands, the track, trees, and curbs were all created by me with custom textures and materials. A lot of time has gone into this as well. With experience, you get better. I noticed this because I've now created several test tracks. With the first 2 test tracks, which I created with great effort, I realized how crucial LOD is for racing games. In the meantime, I've learned how to create materials, 3D models, and textures in a more performance-friendly and better way, and how to integrate them correctly. A lot of learning from last year has gone into this, even though it's not directly visible. The current main test level is shown in the background, which is the 3rd real track I've built, and the first one that will be in the game. A lot is still missing, especially the life around it, but that will come with time. For testing, I put together a track from my favorite corners. This will also be the first track that the few testers have driven on. It will be the first track available to you in the final game. And as I said, the video is recorded in the editor, so the performance and graphics are still a bit unfinished. But at least you're finally seeing something of the game after a year, and that it really exists, not just an empty promise like so many big projects from other developers. For the track editor, I'll show you the folders and some 3D models in the background that you can use for it. In the finished game, you'll be able to download models from other players to use them in the editor. That's all for now regarding the current state of the game. I hope I was able to give you a new update on everything that has happened so far. Please understand that I don't make updates often, as I prefer to invest time directly in development rather than in an elaborate update video. Still, after over a year, it was time to share this.